This is Open Source Tonight, recorded on August 18th, 2021. And I'm your host, Vincent. Hi, everybody. How y'all doing today? Welcome to another episode of Open Source Tonight. Today, I wanted to talk a little bit about the open source news and just say hello to everybody listening. So let's get into that. Up first in the news this week, Firefox 91 is now out, and it comes with some improved cookie management according to OMG Ubuntu. This is some interesting stuff that I've heard a little bit about, as well as on security now. Pretty cool stuff. Apparently, this total cookie protection feature, as it's called, can clear cookies that prevent hidden data leaks, at least that the article is claiming. So, from what I understand, listening to Security Now, where Steve Gibson talked about how this works, it looks like that each site's cookies for both the actual site and all the third-party sites on that website are actually in its own silo, in its own cookie jar, is my understanding that they call it. And therefore, when you go to a new site, let's say that two different sites have Facebook's third-party cookies on it, both of them will be siloed, right? So they won't know about the other one. So that seems quite interesting to me. Pretty good stuff, I would say. Anyway, the Firefox 91 download is available right now with installers for Windows, Mac OS, Linux, Android, blah, 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 as of August the 10th. So it's been 8 days, so you can go ahead and do that. Should be coming down to the Linux distros like Ubuntu and such pretty soon. Up next in the news, Elementary OS is now out. Elementary OS version 6. Odwin. O-D-N. O is an operator, D as in David, I as in India, N as in Nancy. So that's available now. I've actually downloaded that, and I'm going to be trying that out in a virtual machine, which they apparently are saying you shouldn't do. But that's the way I normally try this stuff. So if it goes catastrophically wrong, I might try something else. It's got some different theming options. The new version allows you to pick 10 theme accent colors, which is pretty cool. So you can theme it that way. The other thing that they have in appearance, which I personally like, is a dark mode is now present in the appearance settings. And the dark mode, I have to say, personally looks pretty daggone good looking, okay? I like dark themes, and I gotta say their dark theme doesn't look half bad. So yeah, if you like dark themes, you might want to check it out. They've rewritten some different things and added some new things. The mail client has been completely rewritten, so that's pretty cool. And the Tasks app, which is a brand new application, apparently is compatible with CalDev providers. So I'm trying to think what counts as CalDev. I think Google Drive can do CalDev. I'm not sure. Anyway, but I know CalDev is supposed to be like a standard format for stuff like that. So it's pretty cool. They got that. The App Center now is got a lot of Flatpak supported in there. So that's pretty cool. Now all the curated apps in the store are packaged as Flatpaks, as it says here in the article, for improved security and privacy, blah, 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 blah. It says application permissions can be managed on a per-app basis from the Settings app. Pretty cool. I like the idea of being able to manage permissions like that. I think that's pretty cool. And it says here that although Elementary OS uses Flatpak natively, the Flat Hub is not actually enabled out of the that is not enabled out of the box. However, it says it is able to handle flat refpak files. So that means you could, I suppose, from the looks of it, add other things that is not in the repo, like the App Center repo, which is pretty cool. And I do like Flatpaks. I think it's an interesting way to handle this. I do like some of the other standard packaging as well, like dev files, but Flatpaks, they do offer some interesting things. And over Snaps, I do like the fact that they're a little bit more open, because Snaps is a little more in Canonical's hands and Flatpaks is a little more open, I feel like. So that's always good. So that's interesting. It says here, though, that you can't actually use the upstream Ubuntu repo for software like VLC, Blender, etc. Using the App Store anymore. You have to use the apt command in the command line where the repos are still accessible. So I install pretty much everything from the command line anyway, but I think that for new users, which they're targeting with this, that could pose some problems, but maybe not. It's definitely cool. So we'll have to see how that goes. Okay, moving on. Let's see. Zorin OS 16 has released with a new look and apps here. Let's see here. So a new version of Zorin OS is now out, obviously. Let's look at the new features here. So they've got a brand new GTK theme, which actually looks pretty stylish. Again, I like dark themes, and they've got a dark theme here as well as a light theme. And the dark theme looks pretty daggone good looking. I'm just saying, like it's actually pretty nice. I like how it looks. You can find a link for this stuff in the show notes to take a look for yourself to the article I'm reading from, which is from OMG Ubuntu. So love their articles over there. Let's see here. So it only comes with 4 of the desktop layouts apparently, and does not include a new Windows 11 layout, which is exclusive to Zorin OS Pro, which apparently is the new name for Ultimate. So that's interesting. So I will be fair when I say I've never really used Zorin that much. But it's not too bad. Let's see here. It says that you can get software out of the box on the following ways. The Ubuntu repos are in there, the Snap Store, and the FlatHub is in there. So that's pretty cool, and that's all without having to do any configuration. Plus, it says you're able to install .dev and .app image files and make use of PPAs. So I definitely like that, giving the user a little more options than the distro we just talked about a moment ago, which was, of course, Elementary OS 6. It says here that the Pro version costs $39 or £39. So that's pretty interesting. So apparently, you get four additional desktop layouts and access to installation support. So that's interesting. I wonder what they count as installation support. Do you get access like a phone number to call or email address, or that you can email back and forth? Who knows? I definitely could see Zorin OS, excuse me. It does very much look Windows-like, and I do think that for new users switching to Linux, that something like this could definitely be something that they could, warm up to, kind of get them adjusted to it. So that's good. Let's see here. Apparently, okay, I'm just looking through here and seeing what we got. The Pine Note e-ink tablet is going to be selling for $399, and it runs Linux. So there you go. That's interesting. Let's see here. I'm looking here. This is OMG Ubuntu, of course. And it says here that it's got a quad-core system on a chip with 4 gigabytes of RAM and 128 gigs of eMMC flash storage, so that's pretty cool. It also comes with 2 microphones and speakers, a USB Type-C port, and 5 gigahertz AC Wi-Fi. So this doesn't sound half bad. It says that the Pine Note will run Linux, the mainline Linux, no less, it says. The exact user experience that can be expected, it says it's still up in the air, so that's interesting. Apparently, OMG Ubuntu's saying here that one hope is that KDE Plasma or its mobile version will be able to be used in the retail units, can be adopted to function on the device. Okay, that's interesting. Full disclosure, I'm really more of a GNOME person or a Mate person or something like that than KDE, but KDE is definitely not a bad desktop, and I will say KDE definitely looks really cool, and so that might be a great thing to put in the retail space and just say, look what we can make it look like, everybody. And because it's Linux, if you don't like KDE, you could always change it. It says here that the device can function as an e-reader and sketchpad and such, and even a device for browsing the web or doing development, which was interesting. I don't know, like the idea of doing development and browsing the web on an e-ink device, I feel like would be kind of cumbersome to do that. Maybe not. I haven't got the device on site to confirm that, but either way, it's definitely interesting. Let's see here. Moving on to some other things here. All right, Thunderbird, which is my email client of choice, apparently has got a brand new update out, Firefox 91 and Thunderbird 91. So a bunch of different things are new here. Native support for you Mac OS users with the Apple Silicon CPUs in your Macs, the new Macs. You've got native support for that now in this release. Thunderbird now operates in multi-process mode by default, which is interesting. There's a bunch of different changes in here, new additions. It says allows showing empty CC/BCC rows in the compose window, which I thought it kind of already did that. Maybe not. I don't CCC and BCC people too often. Sometimes I do, just depends. But I don't remember the last time I did that, if it was like that. And I believe I've already updated to 91 now, so I can't really compare. But anyway, I mean, they say it's new. I'm sure it is. It seems to me like that you could have like one blank row. Maybe they mean you can have multiple blank rows instead. Anyway, it's cool that they've got it for sure. I can see that being useful. If you know you need to CC 5 people, you can just open up 5 CC rows, right? That could definitely come in handy. Or BCC or whatever. It says it adds support for non-ASCII characters in the recipient addresses. Cool. Context menu to expand the mail list and the compose window to list the recipients. Cool. Yeah, so there's some interesting thing here. They got keyboard shortcuts to access different fields in the compose window. I like that. PDF.js is now included in Thunderbird. That's pretty cool because I do use a lot of PDFs back and forth for different documents, not as much as an email necessarily, but if I did have somebody email me it looks like that now that PDF.js is included, I think I can view it right in Thunderbird without having to actually get it out of the program if I just want to take a quick look. So that's cool. I like that. Got some new coloring features, and I'm skipping over a lot of this, just trying to decide what's interesting to me and just read it. I'll put a link into not the description, but in the podcast notes and on the YouTube description where you can find this. It says it's got beta support for Matrix servers apparently for chat, so that's interesting. It says that it's got a system that suggests replacements for discontinued incompatible add-ons. That's going to be interesting to take a look at. They got card dev address book support, encrypt email to BCC recipients. Interesting. There's a bunch of different things here. Permission to access the calendar and address book and request on a Gmail account is set up. Interesting. Okay. I don't really use Gmail with it, but that's cool that we got that in there. Okay, some of the changes include, that was the new addition. Some of the changes include a master password has been changed to primary, and mail recipients that are not found in the address book will no longer appear in red. Okay, interesting. So yeah, I mean, I'm not going to read all of this stuff because it's like a really long list, everybody, but I would definitely encourage you to do that. They got a bunch of fixes in here as well, but I got to say, I mean, Thunderbird's pretty nice, and it's good to see they got an update out. So there you go. Good job over there at Mozilla, everybody. Appreciate your development on this new release of the open source tool I use all the time. Okay, so I think that covers our open source news for the day, everybody. Let's see here. What else have we got before I end the episode? Because I don't know what else to talk about past that, really. This was just, like I said, a quick episode. So, yeah, I'm going to be doing, like I said, a video about Elementary OS coming up. And I do want to thank everybody that has been listening to the podcast and watching the YouTube channel, because I am seeing, especially on the YouTube channel, the statistics are getting better every month. And I really appreciate the new viewers and listeners. I do. I really enjoy making OST, and it's nice that when I make something like this that I get to share it with all of you. So I really appreciate you coming out. And I'm not going to get too sappy. I'm going to move on now. But thank you very much for your support. Let's see here. One other thing, I do an open source news segment on some radio stations. That segment, I used to put it on SoundCloud, but I stopped doing that a long time ago. I think what I'm going to do is actually make a podcast feed just for that. The OST podcast feed, don't worry, you don't need to unsubscribe. You're not going to get those episodes in there. I'm going to make a separate feed for that. I've actually got the feed set up, but I haven't actually published it yet. But eventually I'm going to start pushing out episodes of it on there. That is like really short. You may not want to subscribe to it depending on, if you like really short podcasts. You're not going to get a commute out of it, okay? We're literally talking episodes are really short because it's just like a very quick, like, open source news segment that airs on radio stations. It's just anywhere from generally about 40 seconds to a minute, all the way up to maybe 3 minutes for the longest releases. But generally they are pretty close to the shorter side. So, you may not necessarily want to download them. I'm doing this as an experiment. If I, decide to actually do this, I've got the feed set up. But if I decide to do this, that would be kind of experimental. And, if nobody uses it, I probably will just discontinue it. But I am curious to see if any of you would think that would be a good idea. So if you want to let me know in the comments in the YouTube video, that would be great. If you want to do that and let me know, what you think about this, because I think it could be quite interesting. Okay. Anyway, I think that covers everything for for Open Source Tonight, everybody. I do appreciate you all tuning in again. And I think that covers it. Like I said, I really didn't have much to talk about this week. I think I'm going to try and at least do an episode every week like this where I talk about the news in depth. I really enjoy doing it. I just got to kind of get more used to it. No co-host right now. We'll be back to that at some point. Carmen's busy and Billy's busy with a lot of stuff, as am I. But I wanted to try and get something out to you. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the show. I'm sorry it wasn't as long as some of our other episodes, but I assure you I will be back with longer episodes of Open Source Tonight in the future. Okay, everybody. This is Vincent for Open Source Tonight signing off. Goodbye, everybody.